Thank you so much for sharing your Wednesday at lunchtime with me. That is, if you eat lunch at 12 noon. It is 12 noon on February 5th, 2025. And I am JB Bryan, the President and Chief Investment Officer of JB Bryan Financial Group, a registered investment advisory firm and the home of AfroEconomics, established in 1995. Thank God, from whom all blessings flow. Oh, yes, it is great to be here. It is great to be here. You know, every day when God gives me the opportunity to share some ideas, to be able to serve you, I am thankful. Just yesterday, I lost one of my, to me, closest friends from middle school. We met in middle school. The first person I met when my parents moved to Virginia. And um, he had recently reached out and was sharing information on some goals that he had for his family. And then I found out that he was a victim of a fatal car accident, and it just lets reminds me that I'm praying for the Lee family, and that it reminds me of how valuable our time is. And I am so thankful that the last text that he sent me had a beautiful picture of his wife and him, his son, his daughter, who we're praying for, that she will be okay. She's in the hospital. She was the only family member with him in the car, and that she will be okay, and that God will heal them, um, and that somehow we can find, peace in this and acceptance. Special time, of year, but it's just like, just um want us to just know. I want you to know, Ms. Davis, I appreciate you. Mr. Jenkins, I appreciate you. I appreciate both of you. I just want you to know that we need to make sure that we know that. If my daughter is listening, I want her to know that I appreciate her. I know she knows I do, but I still want to say it. I love you all so much. I know I do not take the opportunity to serve you for granted. And each week, when I think of a topic, I think of it with you in mind. I do. And this week, it was interesting because, it's become like commonplace to say, if you rent, you are throwing away money. No. And I think that one thing that we've learned in life, that we should have learned by now, that some of the things that we hold dear and true to us are actually, like, not true. Not all the time. Not, I mean, there's people who own homes and throw away money. There's people who rent and are throwing away money. There are people, who in any situation, you either are throwing away money or you're not. But renting is not the only way to throw away money, nor do I see it as a way to throw away money. And it was difficult to articulate until they started actually doing studies on it. And they have detailed studies at business schools and universities showing that, a renter, given the right decisions and discipline, could actually end up with a lot more wealth than someone who was spending the same amount of money on the residents. Like, if they, found affordable rent. So now economists are saying that this is a renter's market because rent is about to start going down. So if rent is about to start going down, then If you're a renter, it's time for you to start negotiating, making sure that you're paying the appropriate rent, because they built a lot of buildings, and now those units in those buildings are going to start becoming available, because price is driven by supply and demand. Econ 101, right? So if supply is down, demand is up, the price will go up. But now we're getting an increase. So there was a supply was down. So now we're getting an increase in supply with the same existing demand. So it is projected that the prices will begin to decline. Good afternoon, Queen Howard. Good afternoon, Josh. Yes. How you doing, Miss Bullock? Yes, we are praying for the Lee family. Indeed, we realize how connected we are when we have our loss in our family like this, right? We realize that we are family within our family. Mm, mm, mm. Yes, indeed. So if rents are going to begin to go down, the only thing is that the renter, just like the home buyer, has to be smart. Has to be smart. There's just this thing about where people feel like, say they're renting from someone, you're renting. So every time you're renting, there's someone that owns that investment, So yes, you are helping them pay for that investment by renting there. But that does not mean that you have to be the owner of that. It could, and it should be, that you're living there because it is the most cost-effective way for you to live. So when a person is living very cost-effectively, and you say, we're just, using these business studies, and the rent, if they say they can rent for $2,000, but if they did a mortgage, they projected that they would probably be spending, adding in all of the expenses associated with the mortgage, the taxes, the maintenance, the equipment, so they're adding all that in. You can approximate the number, say it was 3,500. So they're using 2,000 instead of spending that 3,500. So they've got to effectively invest that 1,500. That's the smart renter. They're saying, okay, I'm renting, but I'm investing more into this investment with JB Bryan. I'm investing more into the stock market, and I got me an investment advisor helping me. So we're making these investments. Yes, I'm not, because when you purchase a home, it is real estate. So if you want to be a real estate investor, and we can do it through stocks. We have real estate investment trusts that we can invest in. We can invest in real estate through the stock market. But a lot of times, that is why we're having this discussion, because a lot of times renters don't know what to do. So they're renting, they know they're saving money, they don't have to give up that down payment. They have that money, they could do a down payment, but they like the flexibility of renting, right? So, because renting has its advantages, one of which is the flexibility to move when you want to move. Go where you want to go. Your money can go with you where you want it to go. But once you have that purchase, and often it's a mortgage that goes with that, because you don't have all of it saved up to buy it all. So you have to finance it. So then you have that debt that goes with it. And you have the maintenance that goes with it. So many people, especially if there's a very small family or it's a single person, then the renting can be very cost effective, especially if they allow me to assist them in investing correctly. So you're only throwing away money if you choose to throw away money, right? You don't have to throw away money. So, anyone who's watching right now and you're renting and you want to know, you want to be effective at your investing, just say that a lot of people I've seen will purchase the home. And when they purchase the home, they immediately stop saving as much money as they were before they purchased the home, because then it's, oh, I want to build a fence. Oh, I want to get the new this. Oh, I want to put this new driveway down. Oh, I want to put this deck on. Oh, I want to do this to the deck. I want to do this to the dining room. I want to do this. And you have so much more. And then think about, with the home versus if you have the apartment, all the different rooms that you have to furnish in the home. If you're alone, single, or it's just two of you, and you have all this space, like, it's not doing anything for you when it's not being used. So if that's costing you another $1,000 a month because you felt like you had to have that, you had to have it because you felt that if you rented, you'd be throwing away money, you're not realizing that you're spending approximately what amount more because you have that home. Look at your budget. Look at the parts of your budget that are on the maintenance of that home. And that's the part that we have to make sure that we're investing. That's where you can still build wealth while renting, because of the effective use of the money that you're not spending because you didn't purchase. And we really need to marinate on that. That it's all about choices. Finding the right rent. Don't pay too much for rent, but you might be able to rent and actually be able to save money. It might have a clubhouse. It might have a gym that's included. So you might be able to save on your gym membership. That it might, you might have a beautiful pool. More and more, as I have clients that are millionaires that are renting, and I have clients that are millionaires that have more mortgages or have their mortgage paid off. That you can still have multiple millions with either choice of how you want to live. It's about how we use the money that we get. One thing with renting is eviction can be made very easy as opposed to buying. That's just one of the downsides. So, Ms. Davis, do you really believe that? I'm gonna put that up there so that everybody who knows people that have been kicked out of their house after making all these payments, Ms. Davis, they will kick the person out, even with equity in that house, and send you the leftover after fees and expenses. They could, because if they still have a mortgage on it and they can't pay that mortgage, they will kick you out of your house. And if there's anyone who believes you won't get what's called an eviction, you will get what's called a foreclosure. And on a foreclosure, let me tell you, the expenses are way higher. The apartment will throw you out in 2 months. So the house might allow you to stay in there longer, but if you stay in there longer, you gonna wish they had just cut you out in 2 months. Because they're adding on and adding on and adding on. So we won't even think about the worst case scenario. No, from the apartment standpoint, it's not as easy as it seems, because they do have to go down there and get the date to evict you. Then they go down there and get the date to evict you. Then you have the court date. Like, you still have time. You still have time versus people with a commercial lease. If you have a business lease, they can lock it the next day. As on a personal, you definitely have a lot more. On a residential apartment, you have a lot more protection than on a lease on a commercial property for businesses. Definitely, there's none. But yes, as far as like I've seen some people with foreclosures stay in the house. I know this one lady, she was had a law degree, and she stayed in her home foreclosing it, making up excuses for 2 years. 2 years, the whole time, like credit just being tore up. No, so the and eventually, of course, still had to get out because you're getting more and more behind, and it's getting more and more expensive to catch it up. So I don't know, you know, which is best. I don't know, and I pray to God that nobody here has to go through that on either situation. What I'm referring to is a person in good financial standing. And the same person that's renting is the same person that could purchase a house. The majority of renters, we have to realize they could purchase the house if they want to. A lot of people don't want to be stuck in that one place to live. And the only way to get rid of it is you have to find somebody else who wants to buy it. And there's no guarantee that someone else will want to buy it and pay at least what you paid. And then when you adjust it for inflation, unfortunately, according to research, a lot of Black people who purchased homes underperformed what home purchases were for white neighborhoods. So if that same Black person who purchased that residential property had been invested in the stock market, they would have been richer. They literally could have rented and invested in the market that doesn't know what color the neighborhood is, isn't based on the value of what is seen for a Black neighborhood or white neighborhood, but that in stock market, and maybe that's why I love it, it doesn't know what color I am. I buy mine, I get mine. They got to pay out the same dividends and the same capital gains come to us regardless of what color we are. So I'm just referring to a person who could do either one. What would be the reason why you wouldn't want to go into a mortgage? Maybe you want the flexibility. You don't want to have to pay the taxes. You don't want to have to pay that hefty insurance. You don't even, it's hard now for some people, especially in California, to even find insurance for their home. It's becoming more and more challenging to get homeowners insurance. That's something that we need to really talk more about, and it is expensive. So I have clients that own their home, but their escrow between property taxes and insurance is higher than what their mortgage was. Can y'all hear me? So, it could come to a point where it is more cost effective for them to rent. Even if the rent is going up 5% as their house gets older, their expenses are far exceeding 5% a year. Something to think about, right? No, you can rent, especially if it's a young person renting, you can get other people to help you. Y'all can get that rent and split it in half, and then you can invest even more based on historical performance. The longer you're in investments, the better off based on historical performance, the longer you are. So if you started like, I'm going to take this money, I'm going to, this thing, and I'm not going to buy a house right now. I'm going to invest this money that I could use for a down payment. You know, boom, 10 years later, theoretically, you could possibly have enough to buy the house without even adding to it. No guarantee, but think about that. But it has never even been presented to us as an option that, hey, while you living here at home, you ain't even paying rent. Let's invest. Get this thing going. You invest what you would be paying. You'd be paying $1,500. Let's invest at $1,500. That. No, instead, no, they'll be like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out. I gotta get my own thing. So now they paying. Now they paying basically during the time in which you are paying the mortgage, you're basically renting as well from the financing company. You're paying the mortgage payment, but you don't own it. They should be saying home buyer. They shouldn't be saying home owner. Home owner is when you actually have no mortgage. Correct? They say you own a car, but you're actually most people what are actually buying a car. Who owns it? The finance company. So, like, if it's not giving you the proper return, outpacing inflation and the cost of things, but nobody really adjusts back. They just look at, wow, I bought it for 100. Now I'm selling it for 300. But they're not adjusting it back. The Lord, that was 30 years. That was 30 years. So, what is throwing away money? It's only when you throw away money. If you choose to buy a home and not invest anymore, and you think that is the only investment and that's how you're going to live in your future, so your mortgage is so big you can hardly pay it, and you're not participating in even the work plan anymore, and you're not even getting up to the match where they say they'll match up to 6%, but you're only putting in $100 a paycheck, like that. It's who's throwing away money? Something to think about. So every dollar counts, no matter what choices we make. We purchase a home or you choose to rent. You have to. I remember speaking somewhere, and this lady was saying, I'm all alone, and that, and am I throwing away money by renting? And then she was probably in her 60s or something, and I said it depends. Are you maximizing your plan here at work? I was speaking at a work plan, and she was like, yes, I am. I said, what do you want to do when you leave, when you retire? Do you still want to live around here? I don't know. So like for her, it's a simple, like, how in the world do why do you feel like that? Based on what? Because of what people say? You're only throwing away money if you decide to throw away money. I would say renting is not as big a waste of money as the cars that people buy that car payment is setting them back by millions over their career. Got 30 years of car payments. You don't even want me to run the numbers. And nobody ever says buying a car that's twice what you really should be paying for, is throwing away money. Nobody says that. But they say, renting a place that you can live, that is convenient, close to work, reasonable, allows you to save more. You don't know how to fix anything, so you'd be calling to get stuff fixed forever. So now when something breaks, all you got to do is pick up the phone. You got a community, you got safety, it's gated, you got a security guard, everybody knows you, y'all got a holiday party, so come on. But I still, forever, I'll have people say, I am not gonna rent. I am not gonna rent because and niggas and you're closing yourself into a corner. You're closing yourself into a corner unnecessarily. Don't make up rules. Your life is all constantly evolving if you're blessed. One thing might have been relevant when you had 4 or 5 kids in the house. Now it might be something else that's relevant. You know what I'm saying? We need to get to a point where we accept exactly where God has us at this particular time and take advantage of the blessings in which He has bestowed us with at this point in our life. That's where we are. And this is what's best for now. That is what's best for them. And that something else may be best down the road. But you make decisions based on what is best for you at this particular point in your life. I appreciate you all. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions. I don't want to continue because I like flexibility. So I'm going to stop. But please, I'll give you a few more minutes. Ask me, if you have any questions before you go. But the point here is that I want us to talk about, is this truly, economists are saying this is a renter's market. Rents are going to be going down. There's going to be some opportunities. Try not to think about the worst case scenario. Think about the best case scenario, how you could use these into your advantages. No, members of AfroEconomics do not lose their home or do not get evicted. We don't even worry about that. It ain't gonna happen. So we need to have, there's cost savings, there's many advantages to, renting, if that's what's best. If you want flexibility, if you want to save money from the maintenance, the property taxes, the increasing utilities, the additional maintenance costs that are associated with home ownership, then renting could be for you, but it will not and does not have to. It does not have to stop you from building wealth. We can increase your contributions into retirement accounts, into savings accounts, into investments. We just need to really get aggressive about getting an understanding, aggressive about your education, aggressive about your financial strategies. Because I'm going to tell you the truth. According to the IRS, the majority of Americans take the standard deduction. And under the first Trump administration, they doubled the standard deduction. So with doubling the standard deduction, even more people, I'm talking about old stats, before the standard deduction was doubled, most people were already, even when it was lower, were taking the standard deduction. The only way you get to write off interest on your mortgage is if you are itemizing. So this means that the majority of people who own homes are not able or are not writing off their interests. But yet they are told as a major selling point that buying a house is a tax write-off. Buying a house is not a tax strategy. I can save you more money with taxes many, many, many different ways than just mortgage on an interest. And I'm just an investment advisor. And I know that tax strategies are very important to me. And I mean, you're talking about you can invest, and until you sell that stock, you ain't paying nothing unless they paid out a dividend. There's no capital gains to pay. At this current tax situation, when this is recorded, we do not have to pay on unrecognized capital gains. So as long as it's still in the account, you can make all the money in the world. It can be double and triple, and you ain't paid nothing on it. That is a serious tax advantage to investing for the long term. When you invest and save into a retirement account that is pre-tax, you are reducing your taxable income dollar for dollar. You don't have to itemize. So that means When you're not taking advantage of IRAs or not taking advantage of retirement accounts because your mortgage is so high and you're not maximizing your plan at work, and I mean 20% when I say that. Maximizing like the most that they'll allow you to put in there, 23,500 a year. But that renter is doing it. Somebody is getting ahead of the other based on historical performance, given that they're investing wisely. The joke's on us, y'all. The people that get to write off their mortgage interest are the richest Americans. And they have research on this. But if they said, you know what, which their, Trump administration previously even mentioned, why do we let people write off their mortgage interest? Unfortunately, our community would see that as an attack on us when only a fraction of us are actually being able to write it off. The standard deduction, getting it increased if we ask for anything, would be the best move. And that's something. Subsidized housing goes to the rich. Not as the rich, but people, making 100,000 plus. Just like with the school loans, right? People with 100,000, 150, with 150,000, and the school loans were like just gone. But like the majority of our community carries an average of 30,000 in school loans. So if they're paying off 10,000 for people who don't need the break, then the people who really needed the 30,000 didn't get that written off. Sad. So like I just want us to like say that certain things like that we think, oh, that's going to help. That's just really good. It's just helping everybody, 10,000. We don't realize that they have the stats. The government knows that the average loan for Black people is 3 times what they paid off. So like, I want us to just continue. I'm going to allow God to just continue to use me to bring truth. Bring truth. No, renting is not throwing away money. Throwing away money is throwing away money. It's not where you live, how you take care of your living expenses. It's what you do with your money. But yes, purchasing real estate is one way for wealth development. And it has worked. Because for some people, if they didn't purchase a home, they wouldn't do anything else. But that doesn't make it right. That just makes it what we have done. But AfroEconomics is taking us to the next level. We're smarter than that. We can do anything we want to do, and we can get better returns. Allow me to help you. I am at 1-844 JB Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful 2025. I can't believe this is Black History Month. I am making Black history. I am living Black history. I started the first Black-owned registered investment advisory firm to serve individuals in this Virginia, where my corporate office is, the home office, I should say, but not home office, like this is a studio, but actually the office, 3900 West Tier Parkway in Richmond, Virginia, that it actually, it wasn't there first. I started actually in 102 North, 5th Street. Nope, I even had an office before that. Well, in 1995. And still the only Black-owned registered investment advisory firm that focuses on Black wealth. Isn't that something? We are making Black history still. That makes me like the queen of diversity, equity, and inclusion. They don't have to let us in, create our own, create our own. Look at the AfroEconomics entrepreneurship membership while you're checking out the website. Please do. God bless y'all. Good to see you, Mr. Johnson. Good to see you, Queen Howard. Thank you, Ms. Davis. Good to see you, Ms. Mack. How you doing, Mr. Jefferson? HOA himself. Yes, indeed. Crystal, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Thank you, Josh. It's so good to see y'all. Thank y'all for the comments. Thank you for everybody else there. I see the numbers. I appreciate y'all. Please share. Please share this information. Share this link. Empowerment. We have to share it. We have to share it. You deserve it, and your family deserves it too. Be blessed. And again, to the Vernon Lee family, know that my prayers and all of our prayers, like the impact that Vernon Lee has made on so many people, will go on and on forever. If somehow this gets to his children, please let his children know your father is a phenomenal man, and he loved you, his wife, and his babies. Loved y'all so, 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 so much. And God won't bring us to this without bringing us through this. May you be strengthened by the love that we have for you. God bless y'all. Take care, and take not one day, you all, not one day. Don't take one day for granted. Bye-bye.